Thank you, Bill, for painting a better picture of me than I would paint of myself. It's always very nice in an introduction, and thank you all for having us here today. I believe that my understanding is that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has been well represented and will continue to be well represented at the conference over the days here. And I'm pleased to have you get to know better the really depth and breadth of talent that we have at this new agency, and also to understand and see their commitment to the same goals and objectives that you all work so hard every day to achieve, and for which we admire you so much. The thread that ties us together is our shared commitment to the goal of empowering the economically vulnerable among us. And at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, we understand our ultimate goal is to make sure every consumer counts. The mission of our new agency is to make financial markets work for consumers, for responsible providers, and for the economy as a whole. We have seen, as you have, the utter havoc that some financial products can cause for consumers. In the past few years, we've been working through the aftermath of the financial crisis. That has not been easy for any of us. During that crisis, millions of people lost their jobs, millions lost their homes, almost everyone lost part and maybe even significant chunks of their life savings. We all know from our experience that recovery for the crisis has been inconsistent from one person to another, one family to another, and one community to another. And as always, the financial marketplace is toughest for those experiencing poverty, who often pay higher prices and get worse treatment as they use financial products and services to manage the ways and means of their lives. The financial reform law, Dodd-Frank Act, as was mentioned, that created the Consumer Bureau, mandates that we are to work to empower consumers to make better informed financial decisions. As part of this effort, we focused on promoting savings among consumers. We want to see a marketplace where everyone has the opportunity to build and sustain prosperity, and I know that's one of your goals that you work so hard on as well. It's now 50 years since this country launched the war on poverty. We have seen progress, yet poverty rates remain stubbornly high, and we still have far too many families that struggle just to make ends meet. As the Consumer Bureau is now working to protect families from predatory practices that strip their wealth, we also seek to provide tools to help them become more financially capable and to access products that are fair, safe, and affordable. As we think about savings in particular, however, we know three things. First, saving is hard. Second, saving is important. And third, saving is possible. Let me focus on each of these in turn. Everyone who works on financial empowerment, and you could say better than I, quickly learns that saving can be incredibly hard for many Americans. So many households live paycheck to paycheck that squeezing some dollars out to be set aside at any given time can seem virtually impossible. Household needs are immediate and intense. The Federal Reserve has found that half of households say their normal spending is equal to or greater than their income. Nearly half say that if they suddenly faced an unexpected expense of $400, they would have to borrow or sell something to pay it off. Not having emergency savings can threaten their access to basic needs such as housing, food, and medical care. Any unanticipated crisis, no matter how small, can be devastating. The lack of savings is also uneven among our different communities. The most recent Asset and Opportunity Scorecard from CFED shows that 44% of all U.S. households are liquid asset poor, meaning they could not cover their expenses at the poverty level for 3 months. Yet this problem is even more acute for African American and Hispanic households. The scorecard shows that the average white household has 15 times the median net worth of the average African American household and 12 times the median net worth of the average Hispanic household. I first came to learn about these dynamics when I was a local official in Ohio, and we got involved with the America Saves program. We created a local version that we called Columbus Saves, and we set out earnestly to encourage people to think more consciously about their budgets and cut back on little things to build a bit of a cushion toward the future. As we scratched our heads over the many immediate demands people faced in their lives, however, we could begin to see for ourselves just how hard it is to get ahead of the financial curve and how differently this problem was felt among different communities. Still another challenge, as we found, is that many consumers do not have any formal place to save. The FDIC's National Survey of Unbanked and Underbanked Households found that about 9 million households are entirely unbanked. Trying to save without a bank account or similar vehicle, such as a reloadable prepaid card, can be extremely hard. People also take on enormous risk if they're trying to save in cash. And the same survey found that nearly 30% of households do not have any savings account. They often must rely instead on a single checking or prepaid account, both for handling day-to-day expenses and for putting money aside, which can make it especially challenging to develop regular savings habits. That is something we at the Consumer Bureau want to change. Although saving is hard, we also know it's very important to improving people's lives. Research has established what common sense suggests, that lack of savings leads consumers to get caught in cycles of debt or end up saddled with financial products they would not otherwise choose. It can send them into a downward spiral where it becomes hard even to hold on, let alone find a way to pull themselves back up. Our own research on financial well-being reinforces the importance of saving. It reveals that individuals feel empowered and better able to weather financial setbacks if they have at least some amount of money set aside. Having a cushion they can draw upon creates more financial security for families. It also creates the raw material for potential investments that may allow them to build human capital, avail themselves of opportunities when they come, and plan for the future with greater assurance that they can stay on the right track. Here, it's crucial to make a distinction about some of the different purposes for savings. Long-term savings, such as saving for retirement, is a very different thing from generating savings that will help individuals and families weather unexpected shocks. For those pursuing long-term savings, it will feel like failure if the total amount saved does not continue to grow fairly steadily over time. But for those who are trying to move themselves slightly ahead of the curve, rather than forever falling just behind it, the growing accumulation of wealth is perhaps less relevant than avoiding the negative effects of using high-cost debt just to make ends meet. The ability to achieve this goal can have dramatic effects on financial stability. From this standpoint, there's nothing wrong with dipping into savings in order to avoid the potential calamity of falling back on financial products with damaging consequences. So even if the individual's saving pattern is more erratic and developing on a somewhat lower trajectory, the effects on financial stability and financial well-being of using savings to manage around the uncertainty of events can be life-altering. So if we know that saving is hard and yet important, it's worth asking how it is possible to save and what can be done to help consumers save more. We know from initiatives like America Saves that there are budgeting and spending strategies for people to follow, which can lead to incremental savings across almost any income level. At the Consumer Bureau, we're learning about other ways to accomplish this objective as well. From a study we commissioned with the Urban Institute, we found that financial coaching helps clients improve their financial situations both objectively and subjectively and can increase their financial well-being. The study evaluated two different coaching programs, one working with very low-income consumers and one working with low to moderate-income consumers, so we could better understand how we can improve financial decision-making. On average, people with low incomes in New York City who were offered access to financial coaching increased savings by almost $1,200 and boosted their credit scores by 21 points over the course of 2 years. Compared to similar people, it's worth clapping for. Go ahead. Compared to similar people who did not have access to financial coaching. In Miami, those surveyed were low to moderate income consumers who reduced their debt on average by more than $10,000 over the course of 2 years. That's a dramatic effect. They were more likely to pay bills on time. Not surprisingly, they reported an increased sense of confidence in their finances and reduced feelings of financial stress. So what this tells us is that coaching can work and helping people save can work. But there's more we can do to help people save. Even if consumers are highly motivated to set aside money, and we can get them motivated, the best of intentions can be derailed by not having a convenient, low-cost way to save. To address this concern, over the past several years, we've launched a series of initiatives focused on empowering consumers with resources and tools to help increase their financial capability and to build savings. One of those initiatives is our emphasis on financial institutions offering low-risk checking or prepaid accounts that do not offer overdraft and thus do not require screening people out of the system based on that risk. The beneficial result can be to expand access to the financial system for those who were previously unbanked. Together with the Bank On programs around the country that are doing so much good work, we are working to expand access so that consumers have more avenues to save more effectively. Our initiatives also include Your Money, Your Goals, which is a nationwide effort to provide support to social service providers, community volunteers, and others who work with people in low-income communities. We sought their feedback on how to put together the resource, which was immensely helpful. By giving them access to financial education tools, this is the ultimate clients, we're helping them expand their services by, We're helping them expand their services by bolstering how their clients can better manage their financial lives. Today, we're releasing a new Your Money, Your Goals resource called Behind on Bills to make it easier for frontline staff and volunteers to share hands-on financial capability tools with the people they serve. Each of you has a copy on your chairs. It's this. Behind on Bills includes tools that can help people set financial goals, manage income and spending, plan for and prioritize their bills and expenses, and understand their rights when they're contacted by debt collectors. They can carry this resource along when they have off-site meetings, which will help them navigate the tools more quickly. We're still developing more learning and engagement opportunities, so if you've not yet signed up on consumerfinance.gov to receive Your Money, Your Goals updates, including information about Behind on Bills, we encourage you to do so. And your feedback, again, has been immensely valuable at helping us shape these resources so that they are usable and easily accessible for you and your clients. The topic of saving is important enough, however, that we also have decided to devote some creative new efforts to exploring this key issue. Over the past 3 years, the Consumer Bureau has launched a series of initiatives as part of what we call Project Catalyst, which is designed to encourage consumer-friendly innovations in markets for consumer financial products and services. We're excited about this program, and it continues to expand. The goal of a few of these initiatives, several of them, is to help consumers build savings and increase their financial capability. Today, we're releasing the results of a research project focused on the effects of various approaches of encouraging consumers to save. As part of Project Catalyst, we teamed up with American Express to structure a pilot program focused on promoting savings. American Express agreed to test various methods of encouraging consumers to use a product feature that offered them the opportunity to set money aside in a non-interest-bearing savings wallet that was separate from the funds they used for regular transactions. The pilot focused on low and moderate income prepaid card users who often do not have access to traditional savings accounts and who may face unique challenges in trying to build regular saving habits. A follow-up survey was conducted 9 months after the project ended to find out how the participants did when their circumstances were measured over a longer period. The project yielded several key findings. First, we found that offering a small incentive to prepaid card users put some of their money into a savings wallet doubled uptake of the wallet. Specifically, our research indicated that when the company offered consumers $10 on their prepaid card if they put in $150 of their own money in the savings wallet by a certain date, uptake increased by over 100%. Another finding was that customers who were using the savings wallet tended to continue to use it even when they were no longer being encouraged or incentivized. Indeed, the pilot ran for a period of 3 months, and the usage of the savings wallet was tracked for 9 additional months. The study found that the typical maximum balance in the savings wallet among those who chose to set aside funds peaked at $150, but even after 9 months was still $100. And we found that participants who were offered an incentive to save reported significantly less use of expensive payday loans and paycheck advance products. Specifically, based on responses from the follow-up survey, participants offered an incentive were 20% less likely to use a payday loan in the past year. Those participants who were offered a combination of an incentive and various forms of encouragement to set aside funds were 41% less likely to use a payday loan in the past year. Also worth clapping for. Payday loans typically charge, as many of you know, annualized interest rates of 300 to 500%, sometimes even more, making them a very expensive and difficult option to use to pay for an emergency. These findings are consistent with what prior research suggests and common sense tells us. Savings can put consumers slightly ahead of the financial curve rather than just behind the curve. If consumers can put themselves in a better position to avoid using high-cost products, they may improve their financial situations by dipping into their savings as needed. In effect, they may be finding their way to self-funding their own emergency loans. We're also engaged in research to identify and leverage key moments in the financial lives of consumers in order to increase their opportunities to save. One of these key moments is tax time. For several years now, we have been devoting an enormous amount of shoe leather and elbow grease to working with volunteer income tax assistance programs across the country and also working with leading tax preparation firms from the private sector. We recognize that a tax refund is the single biggest check that some consumers will receive all year. You all know that. And so it presents a good opportunity for individuals to pay down high-cost debt or set aside even a small amount of savings to help reach their financial goals and, again, get ahead of the curve. H&R Block, one of the nation's largest tax preparation companies, has been testing the effectiveness of certain strategies to promote tax time saving behavior among its customers and has agreed to share its anonymized findings with the Consumer Bureau. Some of these strategies include merely suggesting to consumers that they consider saving some or all of their refund, or going further by providing them with informative materials to promote the same outcome and how to. Again, we look forward to analyzing the results and sharing what we learn with the public, and we will do so as we have them. While the American Express pilot project and our tax time initiatives are focused primarily on short-term savings, we're also enthusiastic about the new retirement saving account offered by the Department of Treasury known as MyRA. We're finding many different ways to highlight the MyRA product, which is a simple, safe, and affordable way for many consumers to start saving for retirement. A MyRA account can be opened with any amount of money, and it has no fees. It also allows access to the funds as needed, which is crucial. It means it can provide a flexible way for consumers to gain the benefits of short-term savings as well as aiming at long-term savings. Many consumers currently have no access to an automatic retirement savings account through their workplace. We know that this is part-time workers, this is seasonal workers, this is temporary workers, this is contract employees, this is self-employed, immense numbers of Americans. Yet I'm glad to say that this too is starting to change, as more states, I believe there are 5 so far, are enacting legislation to establish their own programs to provide such accounts in the workplace, which can be done in conjunction with safe and sound saving products like MyRA. We have, as we know, much work ahead of us to address the immense task of helping to improve the financial lives of American consumers. I must say it is heartening to be at a gathering of this size and to feel the enthusiasm and the dedication and commitment that you have to this project. That is inspirational and motivational to us at the Consumer Bureau, and I hope that that feeling is mutual. As James Baldwin once wrote, "The world is before you, and you need not take it or leave it as it was when you came in." Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. All of us share a mutual responsibility to achieve that individually and collectively. As we work together in various ways to empower the financially vulnerable, we know that promoting and facilitating savings is a key strategy to improving outcomes for them. Like you, we're focused squarely on this strategy, and we're seeking to innovate creatively toward that goal. We look forward to continuing to work with all of you as we maintain our efforts to do so. Thank you so much for having me today.